Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Let's bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. It's a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm live from Las Vegas, and today I'm talking about pets on the street, in particular, pets on the streets of London. So stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Hello, everybody. It's Sam here, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and thank you for listening in to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Here we are again for another live show from baking hot Las Vegas. I'm not happy. It's too hot too early. Don't you feel the same way, Jim?
You haven't been outside yet today.
Oh, I was
it's
out.
Cooler than yesterday.
Yesterday I didn't like it. I was not
Dogs
happy.
and I have been out for a 5-mile walk already, and I took Mr. Twix to the groomer. I've
I-
had a full day.
I know.
You just woke up.
I didn't just wake up.
You did.
But it is too hot for me right now. Yeah, and it won't cool down now until 1st of November. Right, so today, got a great show lined up for you today, a wonderful guest. I've become a big fan of this organization, and I think you'll become a big fan also. And you may have never even heard of what they do, and I think you'll be, what's the word?
Pleasantly surprised.
Impressed and
Impressed,
inspired
informed,
and motivated to
Mm.
maybe do something yourself and get involved. So, but I got a couple of things I need to go over first. A couple of things. If you're new to the show, then thank you for listening in for the first time. It's wonderful. We do have listeners from all over the world, which is wonderful. And sometimes we have some pronunciation issues because of the English and the American thing. And so Jim does the translations for anyone that's American.
Sometimes you say words that I don't even understand, so we let those go.
After 22 years, and we're still in that position. And Jim would often say, Sam, he'd say something to me, and I would say, I have no idea what you mean. And he would say, I think we're having a cultural impasse. And we've been having them for 22 years, so it seems to work very well for us. So you'll get a nice little translation in there during the show. And sometimes I just, it's funny because you forget. Often I'm saying to Jim, what's this? And I'm pointing to, what's this? How do Americans say this? I say that all the time. Like skirting boards. What's a skirting board, Jim?
Baseboards.
Well done. You get points for that today. Well, if you are listening in for the first time or you've been a regular listener of ours, thank you for being here. And if you'd like to connect with us on the internet and other places, it's really easy. Our website is vegasrockdogradio.com. If you're recommending the show to anyone, they can go straight to the website. And on the Saturdays when we go live, you can click the Listen Live button. And there we are. Really, really easy. Also on the website, you can find the links that go to our podcast. So as soon as the show's gone live, we upload it as a podcast. So then you can listen at your own leisure. Now, you will find us pop up on Periscope. We're, of course, on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Tumblr, Instagram. And we have a blog. The blog is therockandrolldog.com. Quite a bit of activity going on in the blog this week. I've done my recommendations for Pet Mother's Day. So great gifts for pet mums. And they're a little bit quirky and certainly fun. So you can go to therockandrolldog.com and you'll find my selection on there. It does include a unicorn inflatable pool toy.
What are you doing? What?
Unicorns are real. They're real animals. I'll tell you that right now. And all you have to do is believe. And they're real. But yeah, I've got some really quirky things on there. One of them is a clear cup, a clear mug that's got a cat's whiskers and mouth on it. And so when you drink, it looks like you look like a cat. You look like a kitty cat. I told you it was quirky.
That is.
But these are gifts just for the pet mum. So hop on over to therockandrolldog.com and you'll see it there. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, you can find us on iTunes. You can find Vegas Rock Dog Radio on iTunes. You can also find our Pet Tip of the Day on iTunes, 2 separate shows. And we're on iHeartRadio, one of the most popular podcast apps. And if you are on a different podcast app, just look for us, because trust me, we're there. We're there. We're just waiting. We were accepted to go on Sirius XM on their brand new app called Spoke. And I'm just waiting for us to pop up on there. So that's very, very exciting. And there's another app that's I don't want to jinx anything yet, but it's a TV app. And so when we start, we already have started filming the extension of the radio show, which is the Rock and Roll Pet TV show. Then that will hopefully go up on that app as well. So lots of exciting things coming up. Lots of exciting things. So since I'm talking about pet tips, and I literally just saw this post from my friend Sarah back in Sheffield, where I'm from. And I just saw her post and I thought, can I use that as my pet tip of the day? Because I like to give out a little tip. And this is real life, people. This is real life experience. So this is what she said. She said she's got the dogs on the leads because she was getting close to the car park at the end of their walk. A loose dog comes running up to Pip, and that's her newest rescue dog. And she said, I asked the owner to call her dog back. She says, it's okay. He won't hurt. And she said, yeah, but mine might. He can be a bit nervous and aggressive, she said. So luckily, Pip was a good boy in this case, and there was no problem. And she was like, whew, sigh of relief. But when will people learn the etiquette of call your dog back if there's one on a lead and one is not? And it is an issue. We see it all the time. And it's all well and good people saying, my dog's super friendly. But it may not be a good situation to have any dog run up to your own dog, whether your dog is can be a little bit nervous around another dog, or just the fact that they're on a lead and the others are not. It's just, like she says, it's etiquette. So be very, very mindful of other people when you're out on your walks. I mean, it does strike fear in you. You're like, oh, there's a dog running towards us. It's okay. They're friendly. Remember what happened to us on our own street? The 2 dogs that ran up, and one that nearly broke my kneecap in two.
Yeah, that was... I almost forgot about that.
And Galaxy got bit. We didn't know she'd been bitten until we got her. Well, it was shocking because I could see it happen from afar. I was, no, and I'm shouting, grab your dogs.
I think the dogs that are on leashes feel disadvantaged in what happens.
Well, they are, aren't they? They are at a disadvantage.
The ones off leash can maneuver on them, and it stresses them out.
And whoever's walking them as well. And what happened to us is they ran up, and it was a big Labrador. Huge. It ran with its head full force into my kneecap. I don't think I've ever screamed and cried like that. It was one of those sickening pains. You know when you stub your toe and you're like, oh, sick to my stomach? And I said, oh my gosh, I think you've broken my knee. And I'm trying to protect our 2 dogs, and it was just a nightmare. The other dog was a Yorkie mix. That Yorkie wanted to take everybody on. And here's the thing. We're not the type of people to say, we're going to call animal control, because we don't want anyone to have their pets confiscated. We don't want that at all. And they're lucky that we were those type of people, but it wasn't until we got home and we have a cream leather couch and there was blood on it. And we realized, wow. And they'd actually bit around her neck, hadn't they, Jim? It wasn't severe, but enough to make her bleed. And so then it was a whole different story. It was like, yeah, Jim's got to pay a visit now. I need your vet records to make sure, you know, the dog's up to scratch on its vaccinations, blah, blah, blah. I'm very black and white, aren't I, Jim? I just am with these situations.
Blunt.
Very blunt. Not rude, but I'm blunt.
Forthright.
Yeah, because
I'm adjective and interjector today.
Oh, okay.
Apparently.
Okay. But here's the thing. They didn't apologize. And when this happened, they wanted to have, the son wanted to have a bit of a fight with you when you went down to talk to them, didn't they, Jim? And I thought, we're not being horrible about this, so this is not cool.
Oh, we ended up sorting it out.
We did sort it in the end.
And, you know, we just wanted to make sure that everybody was safe and healthy because the dogs drew blood. And
yeah.
You know.
And so the thing, well, and you know, be it a lesson. So I drive home, and Jim's on the driveway with the neighbours, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Anyway, I said to her, well, this is going to be a great topic for my radio show. It struck the fear in her. I said, it's a good job I don't remember names. I said, I won't be mentioning your name anyway. I said, but we've got you are fully responsible for your pets. Nobody else. It's you. It's not even your dog's fault. It's completely your fault. So, and I said to her, you need to assure me that I can walk past your house every day walking these dogs now. I'm still scared, even though they moved. I still have that, oh gosh, that's where those dogs ran at us. So it can do a bit of a number on your head or your knee in my case. And I did not mention her on the radio. I mentioned the situation, but it was about being responsible, and you are responsible for your pets. So as friendly and as lovely as your dogs can be when they're off leash, make sure that you are responsible for them around other dogs. Well, I got there. That was round about the houses, wasn't it, on my tip? But thank you, Sarah, for the permission for that. Well, here we go. This is great. I mean, this is really, really great. So we see, I was just excited. I mean, you know, sometimes I see something and I'm like, oh, that's good. And this is exactly how I felt about this organization. So we see these in Vegas, and we see this on the streets in London, all over the world, and that is homeless people living on the streets. Many are not alone because they're living with their pets. And this is what I would call, you know, this group that we're going to talk about, oh my gosh, they're like the angels walking on the streets amongst us who care deeply about these people and their furry family members. Here in Las Vegas, we're fortunate we do have a similar program called Street Dogz Las Vegas. Hello to Christina, if you're listening in. I recently connected with them through our charitable organization, and they're doing a wonderful job on the streets here in Vegas. And they take care of both people and their pets too. And back home, I still call it home after all these years because home is home in England. There's this organization called Dogs on the Streets of London. Today, I've got Michelle Clark on the line, all the way from London, England. She is the founder of Dogs on the Streets in London, and I've become, as I say, a big fan of their organization. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for having Dots on your show.
Oh, I am thrilled. I mean, I am just thrilled to have you on the show because seeing the work that Street Dogz does here in Vegas, I see how important it is, and it's an overlooked population. That's it takes a certain kind of person to go out on the streets and help people on the streets. It really, really does, and most people don't want to do it. They find it's too emotional. They can't, like, oh no, I don't want to be crying all the time. So I think it's a very special person that goes out on the streets to help anybody on the streets, be it people or animals. First of all, I want to ask you, how is your dog Bailey doing?
Oh, yeah, he's not too bad, thank you. We've still got a little way to go, but he's under the right care now, but thank you.
That's great to hear, because there's nothing scarier than noticing something's not right with your pets. And
Oh, definitely.
we can tell those little changes. You go, oh, what's going on? You know,
I was a bit like, I was an over paranoid mother, I think, at that point, or a fur mum. But yeah, he's doing great now. Thank you.
I'm so glad to hear that, because we all worry about that, and we know that terrible feeling. We're like, no, they're not right. So that's good news that he's doing a lot better. First thing I want to know is, was there a specific moment that you can remember where you decided, I have to help these animals on the streets of London? Is there one defining moment that you say that's when it all came about, or was it a series of things that happened?
I think how it originally started was about 5 years ago, and I first come across a homeless man with a dog close to where I live in North London. And I just kept passing him every single day. And then it was coming up to the Christmas period, and I sort of kept looking at this dog sitting there. And I decided, being a massive animal lover that I am, I decided to make a Christmas box up for the dog. And we went down to our local market, and we got the old mushroom boxes, and I filled it up with some goodies. And I went down there, and the joy that came from the homeless man that owned the dog, you'd think I'd just given him a pot of gold for him, and obviously his dog as well. And I just then decided to go back and gather more mushroom boxes and make up more Christmas boxes for the dogs. And I then started sort of driving around the streets in central London, North London, East London, and I was just sort of seeing more and more dogs. And then that's how it inspired me then to feel the need to go out there and help support them with essentials. So that started approximately about 5 years ago.
That's amazing. Here's the thing. I think it's an invisible population unless you actually see it repeatedly. And if, we live in an area where we rarely see a homeless person where we actually live. However, downtown Las Vegas, Las Vegas Boulevard is a very long street, and it goes from the glitz and the glamour of the hotels to a really horrific part of town that is shocking and very, very upsetting of homeless people and their pets. So unless you see that, they can be invisible, or people choose to not see them. I think that's a big thing, is people choose not to see them, and they become invisible. Now, can you imagine? I'm imagining how this man felt. He probably felt like he was invisible and his dog was invisible, yet you'd seen him. And Christmas kind of has that thing, doesn't it, where it just strikes us. It makes us a little bit more aware. Is so-and-so on my neighbor on their own? Do they have someone to have dinner with at Christmas dinner? So-and-so is in need at this time of year. And I think it just kind of stirs up those feelings anyway. We helped, we called him our friend, Eddie, for many years, homeless guy. And again, it was getting close to Christmas, and I just started getting those feelings of, I bet he's never had a Christmas card. I bet he doesn't have a coat, and it's really, really cold. It gets chilly in Vegas. Well, compared to summer, it does anyway. And it just stirs those feelings up. But I always say this, I think a reaction leads to action. I think there's something either is just unjust, or you're like, oh my gosh, there's a need there. It does motivate people, and clearly you were one of those, and that started 5 years ago with the mushroom boxes. I do enjoy charity work. I will tell you, Michelle, really enjoy it. It doesn't take too much to make a difference in someone's life. It doesn't take much. I think people think that you've got to, I don't know, you've got to somehow organize getting delivered, tons and tons and tons of food to someone. And it's like, no, it can be a really small thing, and eventually it can grow. But all those things make a difference. And it is a great feeling, I think, when you step out of yourself and you help someone else. It's just incredible. So how long did you do the mushroom boxes for until it started to get like, oh, I might need some help here? Because I'm sure it got to that point.
Yeah, I've done mushroom boxes for sort of a couple of years, and then we went on to we tend to, over here in the UK, we do the shoe boxes at Christmas.
Yes.
And that could be either for the homeless people or for the dogs. So I went from the mushroom boxes over to the shoe boxes, and we'd wrap up the shoe boxes in Christmas paper. But then what I decided then is I then made one for the homeless people or the homeless dog owner and one for the dog. So we had like volunteers coming forward wanting to help out. And so, you know, we did that at Christmas. But I've also got another initiative here where I support the homeless people with breakfasts. So I sort of all year round, I'm out there with the people as well as the dogs.
Oh, I'm so impressed. Like I said, there are some angels walking on the streets, and you're one of them helping those people out there. There's nothing.
Well, I've got a great team.
Well, you know, I was going to say, I'd actually call them a dream team because I read up about every single one of them. And that's actually my next question. Let's talk about Jade Stat. How did you meet Jade Stat? And then we'll go on to actually what she does, because it's great what she does.
Yeah, Jade is the founder of Street Vets. It's a new initiative that she started back in 2016. I actually got put in touch with Jade by a friend of mine who was a mutual friend, and she said to me, "You need to connect with Jade." So anyway, we were put in touch, and we had a chat, and we sort of at that point, I was at the stage where there's great services out there for dogs. However, it was proving difficult for a lot of the homeless people to get to the individual services.
Yeah.
So I felt it was time now to bring the services to them. So chatting to Jade, we both agreed, and then we founded Dots. And yeah, Jade's great. She comes out on every station, and we're lucky that we're actually, well, Jade's kit as such is sponsored by a local animal charity called Blue Cross. So we're able to sort of medicate on the streets if any dogs need it.
I mean, that is a difficulty. Is how do great services? How do we get to those services? Now, I know she's known as the street vet. She created the term street vetting. Sounds very hip to me. Very, very cool. Very, very hip. And there was nothing of this kind of program on the streets, was it? So now I was reading that she had to inquire at the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons in order to find out how she could be a street vet and do this in the right way. So again, starting something that's not been done before, a pioneer of that, incredible, and then teaming up with you and then getting backed by the Blue Cross, which is a big organization, isn't it? And I just read that this all kind of happened this past October, is that correct?
Yeah, Jade founded Street Vets back in October last year. Dots was actually founded in mid-March this year.
Wow, I'm telling you, you've garnered a lot of attention, haven't you? Because I've noticed people are reaching out now. They want these interviews with you, which is wonderful. It's what everybody dreams of, honestly. Anyone that's got a business, a charity, an organization, they just want the story to go viral because it leads to it growing, more help, more donations, and more volunteers. So I was very excited. I'm like, oh yeah, they've got another interview. Oh my gosh, they're interviewing on the street now. This is amazing. Now she literally did. She did this whole backpack of supplies and equipment, and volunteered one day a month to help the dogs on the street. Is it still one day a month, or is it every time you do a station?
No, it's now we originally started Dots as once a month. Prior to that, Jade was going out once a month on her own. Now we're doing our station once a week, and we actually go out about twice a week as a mobile outreacher, connecting with dogs out on the street that haven't managed to get to our station, so we can give the dogs an initial check over, and if we need to see them in more detail, we try and encourage them to come along to the station.
Now, what's your process of tracking these checkups and these treatments? I mean, you have to have. I mean, I know you're probably not toting around some big computer to try and track. How do you do that? How do you know who you've seen and who needs to be seen again and that kind of thing?
Okay. Well, every dog that comes to our station, we do a thorough log of the obviously details of the dog, the owner. But we also register each dog with Dots, with one of our Dots tags, and that carries our own information, and each tag has a unique number which is assigned to that particular dog. So should a dog get lost, or if a dog should be found, or if it goes to a new veterinary service, they can give us a call, and then we can locate the details of that dog via their number.
That's a really great layer, protective layer as well. Like you say,
Yeah,
definitely. Obviously from the lost found perspective, but also, if you go to a brand new vet and they've got a record of, vaccinations or any kind of treatments, I think that's really wonderful. I think this is what happens here a lot, and I mean anywhere. Lost dogs come into shelters and there's no information, and they then start them from scratch. They're like, okay, vaccinate everybody, and it's, if there was some information, then you wouldn't be over vaccinating, you wouldn't be spending extra money, but sometimes you just don't know. It's very, very unknown, so you're giving them a history, which is great, and it obviously serves a purpose when it comes to lost and found. Do a lot of people, I saw that the one dog had been stolen. What was the dog's name?
Bella.
Has she been found yet?
No, unfortunately she hasn't. We are chasing up leads. We've got quite a strong lead at the moment that we're looking into, and we've kindly had designed and printed 5,000 leaflets for us by another great charity called Harvey's Army.
Oh, yes. I've had them on the show. They're
amazing.
Oh, yeah, totally amazing. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
They had 5,000 leaflets printed up for us, which we've just received. So they're going to start going out this weekend and next week. But I'm going to remain optimistic.
Yes.
I like to remain positive. Otherwise, it can dampen, the search for her.
It can, and I do think you have to be there's a lot to be said for positive energy, and collectively when so many people are wanting a very good outcome, I think that is really important to keep your spirits up as well. But there's nothing worse than one either losing a pet, or in this case, someone on the streets got their pet stolen from them. I can't imagine when that pet is your world, that's your family, your companion, it's what stops you from being lonely, and then your pet is gone. I can't even. I just can't even. So we'll continue to share through our network as well, and we just need a happy ending. That's what we need.
Thank you.
But that's certainly a concern. Certainly a concern. How do when someone's homeless and they're sleeping, how are they securing their pets to themselves? Is there not a method? Is there something that could be implemented, you think, to prevent that?
Well, I mean, this is something we've sort of been discussing lately about, is there such a thing that we can sort of secure? I mean, mainly, the dogs are on a lead, and owners obviously got the lead tight, but, the lead can be cut.
Yeah.
Street dogs very rarely leave their owner's side. If you called a dog away from a homeless person, it very rarely leaves the side, because I've actually got a street dog at home that I'm looking after for a homeless owner at the moment, and they are very, very loyal indeed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so at the moment, apart from the obvious of sort of having a lead attached to your hand, which you do often see when I do sort of night outreaching, there's really nothing else that we can actually think of at the moment.
I'm wondering if, Jimmy, you might be able to answer this. Is there something that can be made into a lead that you cannot cut?
Well, it's like a bike lock, like a cable lock, but they'd be very heavy.
No, I'm talking about a fabric. Some kind of a woven. There's got to be something. I want to go on the search for this now, because it's like you say.
It's an interesting concept possibly that may have been talked about, that you may have thought about, is how fishermen, when they're doing extended fishing, they'll cast their lines into the water and they'll sit in the tent and have coffee, and they don't pay attention to the line, but they put a noisemaker on the line.
Oh.
So that when the line is jinked, you hear it, a bell or a can.
Something you put on.
Some noisemaker, so that if you're both asleep and you hear, a noisemaker go off, everybody's startled and everydy's alerted.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, can you imagine if that was a universal sound? So anyone around would know if they heard that someone's trying to, maybe take a dog, and it's something you would just implement when you sleep, clip it on or something like that. It's definitely something that needs a solution, isn't it? It just really is, because you are right though about their dogs are loyal. Last week or week before, I just picked up some food for Street Dogz, actually, and I'd picked it up from friends of ours who own a store. And I'd literally just loaded up, drove down the street, and saw a homeless guy with his dog. Big backpack, gorgeous, gorgeous dog. And I thought, wow, I need to do a U-turn. I need to do a U-turn and go back and help this guy. Well, first of all, he was nervous. He said, you're not going to take my dog from me, because I know some of these rescues want to take my dog. I said, oh, absolutely not. But I totally understand why you'd feel that way, because I have seen rescues who have this opinion, it's only an opinion, that their dogs can't possibly be healthy because they're on the streets. And, they can't possibly be loved, because why would you be on the streets with your dog? So I understood why he felt that way. But let me tell you something. Bobby, his dog, did not leave his side. Beautiful dog. Oh, my gosh. Just cuddly. But he was, Brandon, when he walked away, that dog went with him. And he did say, no, he stays right with me. And that's what you want. But there are those situations. But, yeah, Jim, that's an option. That's something to think on. I love those products that solve a problem. That's what I love. I think you're doing so much more than obviously looking after dogs on the street. You're building trust, like I just said, like I had to with Brandon. You're building trust. You're showing compassion, and you're building real relationships. Do you find yourself referring the homeless to other services to help them? Besides obviously veterinary care.
Yeah, I mean, we try and engage with the local services, obviously, to see if we can try and get them some support to get them off the streets. Services are recognising now that there are homeless people with dogs, and there are quite a few charities that are supporting that. But obviously, the large proportion of accommodation is given to those without. Unfortunately, private landlords here in the UK do, tend to not accept dogs in their property. And like you were saying earlier, people tend to think, well, why have you gone and got a dog when you're on the streets? When a lot of the time, these homeless people have lost their property either because of the dog or obviously due to other financial reasons that have ended up with them both being out here. So we're hoping to try and break down the barrier between landlords and dogs, and obviously trying to encourage the services to accept, their one and only loyal friend, really, that supports them in so many ways. To take that dog away or to separate them,
I
could
think
be quite.
We had that here in town recently. Was it the Shade Tree Foundation that started their organization to allow? They'll never turn away a family with a dog. Particularly women and children.
There's a women's shelter, and the director, I think that she was the director. I can't remember, but anyway, she started Noah's Animal House, which was connected to the women's shelter, because she was actually pregnant when she lost her husband. And I said to her, well, first of all, I said, you started this foundation. Is it because you had to, you were in an abusive situation? She said, no, I was pregnant and lost my husband. And it was my dogs that got me through that terrible time. And then she started thinking, what do these women do when they're trying to leave abusive situations and they've got pets? So she went back to this. No, she wasn't director. I think she was a different position, but she just said, what do we do when they show up with the pets? And they said, well, we have to turn them away. And she said, no more. We're not doing that anymore. And they did have property, which was great. So they managed to raise the money and build essentially the shelter that's attached to it, so that women could leave these abusive situations, because they won't leave because they know their pets would be abused too. And they were the first women's shelter to do that in the country. And it is a matter of, I think a lot of it is education, explaining situations, and understanding. What if you're someone that's just scared of dogs and you're a landlord and you're like, oh, no, I'm not having dogs. And they have these preconceived ideas about people with pets, or just, I think a lot of it is building trust and educating people most of the time. But it's another step to what you do, isn't it? Well, Michelle, I want to hang on because I'm going to run a few commercials, because I've got so many questions for you. It's crazy. This is probably going to go way beyond an hour. I'm sure. I hope you have the time. But stay right there. We're going to run some commercials. You'll listen to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
At Carl's Jr., not only do we make you happy with our delicious charbroil burgers, but we also make your dogs happy. When you come through our drive-thru with your furry friend, we'll offer your dog a treat. If not, always ask for one. We love to see their smiling faces. Our website, carlsjr.lasvegas.com, has a treat for its customers too, with free coupons anytime, so be sure to visit us regularly. Carl's Jr. is a proud and active supporter of dog adoption in our community. You can find us at Carl's Jr. of Las Vegas or on Twitter at Carl's Jr. of Vegas.
Pet Scene Magazine is dedicated to Las Vegas pets and the people who love them. It's a source of news and information for pet lovers, as well as offering valuable coupons and specials on pet products and services. Find them online at www.lvpetscene.com or look for them on Facebook.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Sam here, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and I have a fantastic guest online, and that is Michelle Clark. She's the founder of Dogs on the Streets of London, DOTS for short. Their website is, I hope I say it right, Michelle, dotslondon.co.uk. Is that correct?
Yeah, dotslondon.co.uk. That's right.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about you. Like we talked about, building these relationships, and clearly there's no place for judgment when you work with people who are on the streets and their pets. How do you cope when you go home at night? How does it feel? You've got a roof over your head when others don't, and you know them personally. How do you deal with that?
Oh, I mean, I think over the course of the years, I've learned to. It's about accepting their situation, which I find very frustrating because obviously nobody should be out on the streets. But they actually give me such energy. I mean, they provide, they're the most positive people I know out there. Their dogs are the most well-behaved, happy, loving, joyful animals I've sort of ever come across. So, as much as the situation is very alarming, distressing, emotionally, draining. Just to sit down and have a chat with them, they actually sometimes pick me up more than I'm able to pick them up. So yeah, it's very hard, but their spirit is very high, very high.
That's interesting that you said that. It's about accepting their situation. They've obviously accepted theirs quicker than anyone else. This is where we are, this is how we adapt, and this is how we live, and this is how we survive. But I mean, it's not easy. I mean, after I stopped to help Brandon and Bobby, I was a wreck. I bawled my eyeballs out driving away. The great thing is, what came out of that is I knew an organization like, Dots of London, which is Street Dogz, and I told him, I'm going to reach out to Street Dogz, and what do you need? And he said, I need boots for my dog because it is so hot out here, Michelle. You can't even walk down the driveway to get your mail. You will sear your feet. It is that bad. So he said, I need boots. He said, I'm sorry to ask for so many things. I'm like, no, just tell me what you need. I can get you the help. Obviously, food. He says, I need to get my dog some shots. So he gave me this list. I reached out to Street Dogz, and a couple of days later, she posted a picture with his permission saying, world, I want you to welcome, Brandon and Bobby to our, she calls them clients. She calls them her clients, and what they've done for them, and now they have a permanent contact with him. He goes to church every week, which is great because he has a place of contact, which is wonderful. And gosh, do I love that dog. But when I drove away, he put that dog, a sheepdog, he's a sheepdog, put a dog over the back of his shoulders and carried that dog. I was a wreck for the day, which gives me more admiration, and what's the other word I want to use? Inspiration. Yeah. To just help, and for the kind of work that you do. It's wonderful work. It really, really is. You're definitely going to, if you believe in going to heaven, you're going. Your name will be on that list, as well as your team. And I know you've got this. We talked about Jade. I want to talk about Fee's Pamper Camper. Tell me about Fee.
Oh, Fee, she's lovely. Fiona, she's known as. Fiona was a groomer that was already grooming my own dogs, and she's got this amazing van that is completely kitted out like a grooming room. So obviously she was coming to me to do my own dogs, and I got chatting to her about the station, the dots that we were going to do, and she just jumped at it. She goes, "I'd love to get involved." There was just no hesitation. Fee comes along once a month. We do once a month with the grooming, because obviously we don't want to start getting like skin conditions from the dryness of constant washing, and also it's just getting them used to the service. So yeah, they come along and they have a bubble bath, and they get their claws filed and clipped, and they get totally pampered.
That's a great service, because being out in the elements, the dogs are going to get dirty. How do their owners feel? Because obviously, can they go in the grooming van with them, or are some people nervous? Like I was saying about Brandon, like, oh no, I don't need to think you can take my dog away from me.
They can all go in. They can go in with them, but I don't think actually anyone has yet. I mean, luckily I do know a lot of the dogs already on the street round there, so the trust is sort of built up. But even the new ones that we first met, I think because they're coming into an environment of safety as such, they feel that instant trust, friendship, and care, for their dog, but also for them as well, the owner.
You can always tell someone's intent anyway, can't you, Michelle, whether it's good or a bad intent? So you can always tell when someone genuinely wants to help, and clearly your name is around the streets and has been for a long time. So I think it's a brilliant service. I know she has someone who assists her, Siobhan, and so she helps her, equally as passionate. And I just think it's lovely when people just don't hesitate. They go, "I believe in what you're doing. I want to be part of this. I need to help you." And a brilliant component of what you do. Now let's talk about Kimberly Freeman. So she's a leading dog industry expert and trainer. She's all kinds of fabulous, not just in the UK, but also here in the US. She's known for training family pets to rehabilitating dogs after disasters. So it's quite a speciality that she has. Tell me about Kimberly.
Oh, Kimberly's just fantastic. Kimberly's sort of main role is for training is socialisation, because the street dogs living on the street, they have unique issues to deal with, and socialisation is always the top of that list when survival and safety comes first. So Kimberly, when the dogs come along, Kimberly will do one-to-one training and teach the owner on distraction and ways on to break down this socialisation issue, mainly with other dogs on the street, because obviously their main pathway is obviously the pavement. They don't tend to all go to parks like we do with all our dogs, and they all run around together, and it's quite bizarre really, because the dogs are just so over friendly to the humans, but then to the other dogs they can sort of tend to be a little bit growly. But Kimberly's just fantastic, and she's doing a great job in helping the dogs and also helping the owners too.
You see, that's something you wouldn't think about. You just wouldn't think about that, would you? Just socialization of dogs, and they're living in a different situation, unlike our dogs, which I'm looking at mine right now in the studio, and she's living a life of luxury. I mean, she really is. But it's another level and a component that you don't think about, but it's so necessary. And
definitely,
and it makes it a lot easier for them to be out there on the streets with their dogs. Another great person on your team, because I mean you've got to get the word out. You've got Vicky Gooden. She's your blogger, and she'd volunteered I was reading at a crisis at Christmas, specifically a dog centre where the homeless with dogs would register to stay for a week. Never heard of that. I think it's brilliant, although in many ways heartbreaking. She said seeing the love between the dogs and their owners was absolutely beautiful. Again, I think Christmas stirs up those feelings, and clearly she wanted to continue this, and so she saw a request for a volunteer blogger. And it looks like you lucked out.
Yes, Vicky's amazing. I mean, even when she does our blogs for us, I mean, I'm so emotionally involved in the story. It's like you don't want it to end. But Vicky has a true passion not only just for animals but also for the dogs on the street. So yeah, she's a great valued part of our team.
I know she stated that it's an absolute privilege to be involved in such important work. That has got to feel incredible, Michelle, when someone says that about your organisation and they want to be a part of it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've had some great people come forward wanting to volunteer and wanting to get involved, which is amazing. Our social media supporters are just fantastic. We couldn't do.
It's exciting when they believe. It's exciting when they believe in you. Like, I'm doing something right. We're on the right track here. I have to admit, I do love your website. I really, really like the website, and I know Luke is your designer and your web admin guy, and he'd already been doing some volunteer charity work, and he's the one that designed your first doggy station flyer, and I really like it. It's very cool. It's very, I don't know, it's just, I can't think of any other word for it. It's hip, it's cool. I just love it. And I love the fact that he uses a lot of those kind of icon type things. I'm like, this is great work. Yeah. How long has he been with you?
Well, Luke has been with us since the start of our website. So that's going back to sort of around the middle of March. And he's just got on with it. I've never had to sort of like say, can you do this? I want it done like this. He's just done it, shown me, and it's just been a wow factor every single time. So Luke is just fantastic, and he's certainly made a great website for us.
I think what you've got is all the right pieces to the puzzle to make Dotz London a success, and I see this being a model for other cities. Are people showing interest in doing something similar in other cities? Are you thinking of, we need to expand this exact program with the same name but for different cities? What's your vision?
Oh, well, our vision is to be UK-wide. We'd like to have a Dotz station in every major city where there's a homeless crisis, and obviously particular with the dogs. I mean, we've had interest from Brighton, we've had interest from Cardiff. We even had a lovely couple from Seattle that was visiting the UK, and even they said, is there any way you can come and do this in Seattle? And it's just phenomenal. It truly is absolutely phenomenal. Just amazing.
It's brilliant. Do you my cousin runs a soup kitchen twice a week in Sheffield, and I thought to myself, that would be a brilliant time and place, because they gather there to get food anyway, and she gathers coats and you name it all throughout the week. Now she did this quietly for 3 years without telling a soul, and we have a huge family. Huge. Yeah. I mean, there's 6 of them. There's 5 of us on our side. There's another 6 cousins with another.
Oh, wow!
We're huge family. Why? That's what I want to know. She kept it so quiet, but the minute she actually kind of like, hey, this is what I've been doing every Tuesday night for the last 3 years, and everybody was just, we want to help. We need to jump in. We've got to. And so she's feeding, I think, around about 80 people every Tuesday.
Wow.
Then she had that same area where she holds it, and they cook fresh food. It's brilliant. Where she went by on a Saturday, and there were still homeless people there, and she went, I feel really bad because there's no food. Let's do a Saturday as well. So I just think that would be a great extension for her, if someone wanted to do a Dotz Sheffield.
Definitely.
She's got a great little location there, and doing beautiful work. I'm very, very proud of her. I have a family that does a lot of charity work, so it's kind of what we do, but very, very proud of her. Wonderful, wonderful way to help people.
Definitely.
Do you have any kind of government assistance? Are there any grants you can get, or do you currently get any? Because oh my gosh, it needs to be infused so it can grow.
Yeah, I think because we're so new as well. I mean, although I've been out there sort of 5 years, a bit like your family member, I've never really publicised it. I've just got on with it. But because we've got quite a big team now coming together and more volunteers coming on as well, we don't receive any sort of government grants or any sort of outside grants. We're very much grassroots level, and it's a level that I want it to remain at. All what we do, we volunteer our time. It's nothing for profit, so it's not for profit. Any donations we get, 100% goes on to the dogs. We've got about 3 dogs at the moment who are in need of urgent veterinary care, and so we got one that's going in for a mammary mass removal, and so we've just raised the funds so we can put Dad and the dog into a hotel for 2 nights, so the dog can recover in a clean, warm environment, and Dad can have a little bit of respite too. We've got another one who needs emergent specialist care and an operation. So, we're doing okay. I mean, obviously, the more funds we get, the more we can do, and the more we can provide. And we do, purchase medication outside of the kit should a dog need it. It's something that we either self-fund, or if we can get a little fundraiser going, that obviously helps us.
Yeah, it's I know we live it too. Being part of a charity here in Vegas as well for animals. That money comes in and that money goes right back out so quickly.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Particularly
Yes.
when it comes to, like I say, a bit more extensive treatment or a surgery, and it is a constant. You're on that hamster wheel of raising money constantly. But I'm really glad because getting on as many radio and TV shows you possibly can and in print is going to really boost all that you're doing. Now, how do people respond when they see your station set up, for the first time, whether they come in with their homeless pet or whether just walking by? How do people respond to you?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, first off, the public, I mean, they're great. I mean, they come and chat to us, but they think we're there to sell some things as well, because we've got our table with all our leads, collars, food, toys, etc. So they come along thinking they can buy something that will obviously support what we're doing. So we have to sort of kindly advise them that it's there for the street dogs, but they're very interested, and it really is a real boost of support for us. But when the homeless people come along as well, and the vibe is just so high. It's just such a positive, atmosphere, and it's like a little community that comes together. And so far, it's all been positive, and everybody's been very supportive of what we do.
It's anyone that I look at that takes their time to, like, say, not for any money, not for profit, to help, and I say people understand an intent, you're bound to get that kind of response. I want to tell people that if they want to donate, they need to go to your website, which is dotslondon.co.uk, and you'll find the donate page. And it's not just money, but you need supplies, don't you, as well? What other kind of things can people come and donate to you?
We're looking for toys. We really are desperate for toys for the street dogs. Just because they're on the streets, it doesn't mean that they can't have the privilege of toys. It's a bit like we're trying to bring the privileges that we have for our pets at home. We're trying to bring that all out onto the streets for the dogs. So toys are really what we're desperate for, and tough toys. I mean, there's a particular brand that's quite a tough brand.
Oh yeah, you can say it, because then people will know what to buy. You can say it.
Okay, yeah. Kong is a great brand. I mean, they have very kindly donated a load of the Kongs, like the treat Kongs, to us. But they love squeaky toys, so anything squeaky we'd appreciate for the street dogs, definitely.
That's great. We'll put a big push out for you on that, and we'll see who we know on Kong on our end, and see if we can get something donated. You do have sponsorships. You've got the doggy bag level, the street dog, and the dog medication sponsorship. What's in the doggy bag, and how much is that one when you sponsor that one?
Oh, in the doggy bags, what we give to the street dogs when they come along, we've got some great sponsors. We've got Huxley Hound, we've got Barking Heads, Nature Diet, Butternut Box, and basically they're very high quality food, and that's what we're trying to bring to the streets, a consistent high quality food. And Barking Heads is a great dried food that is quite used over here. So, we get lots of dogs that come along to the station with stomach upsets, and this is mainly down to poor diet. So along with Barking Heads and Nature Diet, we sort of try and stabilise them on that. And then with the Huxley Hound, which is an organic vegetable treat, which is quite new out as well, and it's proven a big hit. The dogs are slowly coming around to having vegetables now, which is great. And I mean, we've got Harley Cocoa Bite treats, which are made out of coconut oil. Oh, the sponsors have been fantastic. So we're quite settled now, because we want to sort of keep the dogs on the same diet rather than having all different ones coming in. So toys, as I say, are the main thing. and treats, but it's sort of like the more the sort of the high end treats, so we sort of can stabilize their stomachs for them.
You know, it's nutrition. We all know it's the number one thing we should all be doing for ourselves and our pets. And it's a component that I see lacking actually in our rescues here. Is a lack of knowledge about what is a high quality food, because we all know if we get them started on a good base, then they're not going to have issues as they go along. And there's a level of education that has to happen, and we try and give as much information out as possible about these pet foods. I'm very fortunate in that we have a friend who's the director of the new documentary Pet Food, which tells people about the commercial pet food industry. So that's a big step in getting people to understand how it's made and going, oh, hang on a minute here, I need to look at high quality food. And I say it's something that needs to get better here. It just does, and we're just trying our best to get this information out. But I'm really happy to hear that, because, like you say, they're going to come with some upset stomachs if they're eating all kinds of food and different foods. And, well, all of us would have an upset stomach if we did that. So I love that you've got quite established with that. And Bobby that I met, the homeless guy, and his dog, Brandon and Bobby, he said to me, I normally feed my dog a grain-free, da-da-da. He said, I don't always get that. I said, well, I've got great food in the back of this car. So I gave him, again, a high-end food, a lot of nutrients in it, nutrient dense, and he knew. He said, no, I know I need really good food for my dog. So I love that you've got that in place. I know you're very big about, please pass on our venue details. Tell everyone Street Dogz is here, and tell homeless people to come and we'll help them out. And I love that. You're like, everybody come, everybody spread the word. Let's help each other. How many locations do you have? And how many? What days and what times? Are you setting your station up?
Well, we currently have one station on the Strand in central London, and that's run weekly on a Sunday between 2 and 4 p.m. We're soon to start our second station in East London, which will hopefully be up and running by the end of May. We're also going into a hostel that fortunately does have homeless people with dogs in there, and we've been asked to come along to run a station in there also once a month. And obviously we're following up leads of teams coming together to do stations, in other parts of the UK. But we also go out on mobile outreaching. So we're out walking the streets. So we're connecting out on the streets with the homeless dogs out there as well.
Oh, I just love the excitement. I love it when someone realizes such a great program out there and people want to get involved and it starts to spread. I can see you having a lot of people forming teams. Wouldn't it be great if certain companies, like, for example, I've done charity work with Starbucks. They're fantastic. They pay them to do their charity work, and it's done on the clock. Now, if it's the same in England, oh my gosh. Now, I'm fortunate in the one that's close to my house. I know every single person that works in there. They all have animals. They all love animals. They're crazy about animals, and I worked with them. And teamwork, I couldn't believe it. But wouldn't it be amazing? You got, the Starbucks team, they run the Sunday one. I just see this being like a brilliant thing for companies to get involved in and create these teams. It's very exciting times for you, Michelle. You're going to get busier and busier. I have a feeling you're just going to spend more time in interviews. And I mean, what you're providing is, dog food, leads, collars, toys. So much stuff. You're providing companionship and someone to talk to, and the veterinary care, the grooming, the trainer behaviorist. Incredible work.
I think it's reassurance as well, because everyone that comes along to Dots, all the homeless owners with their dogs, they've all got my number, and they're reassured that they can pick up the phone anytime, day or night, if they have a concern about their dog. And I think that is, releasing such a burden on their shoulder of worry, to know that and they don't take advantage of that either. They're not just sort of ringing up at 2 a.m. to say I've run out of like dried dog food. They will call, and it always ends up being a genuine reason.
Wow, that is a lifeline. That's a lifeline. that's really what you've provided there is a lifeline, and these are relationships that you've forged anyway. These are not just namely. These are people that you know, and like you say, whose dog do you have at your house this weekend? What's the dog's name?
Well, I've had Poppy. I've had her for quite a few months now. Her dad is not very well, and so he can get the treatment he requires, he needed to go into some form of accommodation, but they wouldn't allow the dog. So he was refusing to go. But, he approached me and he asked me through the trust that he had with me if I'd be kind enough to help him with his dog. So, yeah, I've had Poppy at home with me now for a few months, and she lives in a house of 7 other animals. And so, yeah, she's just amazing.
And
absolutely
how
amazing.
is her owner doing? Is he doing better?
Yeah, he's slowly getting there. It's going to take a little while longer, and hopefully one day soon they can both be reunited and live together. But it releases that worry of worrying about Poppy, and it enables him to get the treatment that he needs.
It's wonderful work. Now, what I have noticed is you've been getting some celebrity support. Peter Egan. Oh yeah,
yes.
he's big on the animals. Wonderful.
Yes.
If you're here in the States, then he's an actor. You've got Pete Wicks from Towie.
Yes.
James Whale. I listen to LBC Radio every single day.
James is lovely.
Brilliant. Anna Webb, BBC radio presenter, The Barking Hour, Stacey Jackson.
Yeah, they're great.
Isn't because it's very exciting when you see someone who's got a lot of followers and you go, oh gosh, they've noticed us and they believe what we're doing, and wow, they just shared that with their thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and it's great. What would we have done without social media if we didn't have it? It'd be so much harder, wouldn't it?
Definitely, it would definitely be harder, but it wouldn't stop me. It wouldn't definitely not stop me what I'm doing.
I think when you're, I think when you're passionate about something, it just naturally drives you anyway. And I've often said, God, I feel bad for people that don't have a passion, because it's an excitement as well when you have a passion for something and you can sink yourself into it. I swear, I think in next year it'll be a completely different looking situation. I think it'll be huge. And I'd love it to be that household name, so you see someone who's homeless, or someone mentions someone homeless, and well, do you know about, Dots Sheffield or Dots Leeds, or do you know about Dots Seattle? Or Dots Vegas? I mean, this is a model that, of course, you're going through all the ups and downs and the figuring out of everything and all the obstacles to put this formula together of this is how we run, a street program. I am just so impressed. I do have a question. When you do your stations, do you have to get permits for that?
No, we don't, luckily. I'm sort of known within the borough for the homeless work that I do. So, no, I don't. We don't need a permit. And we're actually sort of very close to a police station, and the police there have been great. Ooh. They support us. So it's great all round.
That is really, really helpful. Is there anyone else that you want to acknowledge? And we talked about your team. Is there anyone else, whether you've got partners or specific people that come out and volunteer religiously? Who would you like to thank?
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody that's involved with DOTS, because without them, DOTS wouldn't be as, successful as it is and growing as it is. So my team are amazing, both frontline and back office. There's other team members. There's Keith as well, who's a Paul. He helps sort out all. We've also got Kelly. She's another great lady that does a lot helps us with our printing. The list is endless, but also the amazing Twitter supporters. Yeah. They are like my extended family. The Facebook supporters, Instagram. I mean, honestly, everyone is just great, and and thank you as well, Sam, for having us on.
You are so welcome.
So, yeah.
I'm going to be your biggest fan in America.
That's great.
That's it. We'll just be connected anyway. It's as simple as that. And feel free. We should just become friends on Facebook, and then you can just tag me in stuff you've got going on. Of course, I'm following your page, but anything special like sharing the dog that was stolen. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, we still have a ton. We have a ton of people from England, of course, because I'm from England, that listen into the show. So it's, I think social media knows no boundaries, which is great. Because I can say you can donate to Michelle, no matter where you are in the world. You can donate on our website and get the help from everywhere that's available. But just brilliant work. As I say, I became a fan instant. I'm like, this is incredible what they're doing. And so many components to what you're doing. And your dream team. It's just fantastic. I mean, oh gosh, such exciting times. And I say for it to blow up as quickly as it has, it's great.
Yeah.
People would pay a lot in PR for that.
Yeah, definitely.
So who are your pets at home? Who do you have at home?
Oh, I have Bailey, who's a Springer Spaniel, and I have a Maltese Terrier, Millie, and I've got Poppy, the street dog, who's a Staffy, beautiful girl. And I've got 4 cats, Freddie, Lolly, Pickle, Betty. And I've got, I did have 2 guinea pigs, but sadly one passed away last week. So I've got Miss Mabel, who's 7.
Oh, gosh.
So she's definitely an oldie.
I love all the names. I love all the names. They're very English, and I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
They're very sweet names. Well, you know what I would like to see on your website, Michelle? I'd like to see a lot more about you on your About page. I'm like, hang on a minute here. Hang on. I know what she's like. She's humble. I get it. But I was like, hang on a minute here. I need to know a bit more about her. So I had to fish around a little bit. So, Luke, if you're listening, Luke, make sure there's a paragraph. I know what you're like. You're like, you know what? I'm just doing the work. It's not about me. And we get that. But I want to read a little bit more about you, because if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be this.
No, if it wasn't for everybody, where everyone is involved. This is a team thing with people that work next to me, but also like out on social media. So it's everyone.
Well, before we finish, tell everybody where we find you on social media and where you actually are.
Okay, well, on social media, we have Instagram, which is Dots London. We have Twitter, which is also Dots London. And we're on Facebook as Dogs on the Streets London. We obviously have our website, which is dotslondon.co.uk. We're based in North London, and we literally cover the boroughs, or various boroughs of London. That's North London, East London, Central London, South London. So if anyone comes across a street dog and you think they would benefit from us within the London postcoded areas, just get in touch with us and we'll happily go and connect with them.
And for anyone that's listening in, I have lots of friends who are radio, TV, podcasting. Please reach out to Michelle. Get her on your show. Let's spread the word. It's the little bit that we can do to make people really aware of this incredible program. And I just see in 5 years' time, they're going to be dots everywhere. All connected.
The dots.
All the dots will be connected. I love your mission. I love your passion. We'll just become friends, Michelle. And
definitely.
When we come back, we're going to go back home next year for a niece's wedding. So I think we should make a point of coming to see you.
Lovely.
Wouldn't it be great, do something like a Facebook Live on the street with you guys.
Brilliant.
And just get the word out. And you know what, Michelle, that's a great thing. If you haven't done a lot of it, the Facebook Live is so effective. The reach is phenomenal. But I'm going to send you something that will enhance any kind of Facebook Live that you want to do, that would really make life a little bit easier for you. But I want to say thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for responding so quickly. Trust me, I don't think I've had anyone respond that fast to please come on my show. And I just only see just success in your future.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. You enjoy your weekend, and big kiss to Bailey and your other pets.
You too. Thank you, Sam. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Take care.
Bye, love.
Bye. Bye.
Well, everyone, like I said, this was a great show. I knew you would like this organization. I've become a huge fan. Please donate if you can. If you're in the area, pick up those Kong toys. And if you want to buy food, then reach out to Michelle and say, what brands do I need to pick up? The more help that they can get, the more people they can help, and the more pets they can help, and then this program can grow. Brilliant program. Amazing dream team. Big thanks to all of those for hopping on board and believing what Michelle's vision was and being part of it. And like we always say, at the end of the show, you can help an animal in need. Now, the rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer at Adopts London station, or share their information. Rescue your next family member. Replace the word shop with adopt, and be kind to all animals, including those on the streets. Thank you again to Michelle Clark of Dots London for being my guest. It's been an absolute pleasure. And when I grow up, I want to be Michelle. Please take a moment to like their Facebook page, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter. They're very active on all the social media platforms. Thank you, Jim, for being here.
Yes, I'm always very glad to be thanked. I'm behind the scenes, really. You put me in front of the scenes, but I'm really behind the scenes. I do on occasion, and I want to thank you for listening in today. You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it's all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm your host, Sam, the Queen of Rock and Roll Dogs, and always kiss your pets good morning and good night. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets